Beauvais space. Welcome to the Vagina Monologues. Welcome, welcome. We are so thankful and so happy to have you all here, especially you guys standing in the back. We really appreciate it. My name is Sophie Woodman. I am the president of the Ripon College Feminist Society, Feminist Club, and with association with the faculty and with the theater department. We've been working for this for a couple weeks now. This has been a dream of ours since the club was first founded, and we're very excited to put it together for you today.
My name is Lauren Hansen. I'm the current vice president of the Feminist Club, and it's been really exciting that this all just sort of fell into place, that Beauvais really needed a special event to launch this space, and actually we're going to be talking about it a little bit, but we really hope you enjoy the show.
So hello everyone, my name is Allison Macknick. I am the director of the show and a member of Feminists here at Ripon College. 3 years ago, the president of the Feminist Club said, Allison, I want you to do Vagina Monologues. And I'm really excited that today is the day that it's happening, and you are all here to celebrate this with everyone, because vaginas are pretty dope, in case you don't already know. But just to start it out, we'd like to hear a couple words from Massetti talking about this space, because we were graciously been able to work with the President's Office to have this space provided with us and to be able to collaborate with them. So, Massetti.
Thank you, Allison. Welcome, everybody. This is really exciting. It's exciting to see the overflow crowd for this. And Beauvais Study Bar really has been something we've been thinking about doing for the last several years. We visited campuses around the Midwest to see what these kinds of spaces look like. And I think the way this has turned out, I hope you all, particularly students, are appreciative of what this is about to become. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The first thing, though, I want to do is I need to thank some people. And a space like this doesn't transform because we snap our fingers. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into this. And so I'm going to just read a few names and organizations out that deserve our thanks. And actually, you know how most of the time people say, hold your applause until you get to the end? You should applaud for each of these people. They really put in a lot of time and effort and thoughtfulness in making this. So our plant department, those guys do such incredible work. Thank you, plant. IT department, Tara LaChapelle, phenomenal. We've used this already classes. I know Mary Unger's using this class. We've used this class for Skype interviews with an author. So IT department, thank you very much. One of the cool things about this space is Mugs Coffee is going to, I hope you saw the cool barista thing up front. Mugs Coffee is in partnership with us here. They are going to be selling coffee, and once our regular hours and merchandise gets going, you'll be able to come here, have a frothy cappuccino, espresso, and look at books, and go to class and do other things. So thank you, Mugs. Josh Savitsky, who did a lot of the work in this space. Josh, I'm not sure he's here, but he deserves our praise and thanks, so Josh. A bunch of individual students, Josh Schubring, Lauren Kent, thank you. Cordell Walker, thank you. Nadia Tessa, thank you. Rick Dom, thank you. One of the other cool things I hope you'll see, there are posters on the walls. There's a picture of Alvin Beauvais, and the histories underneath each of them were done by Russ Blake, a great historian who's an emeritus professor. Give it up for Russ. And Russ, we also worked with the Ripon Historical Society in order to get those pictures right down the street. Ripon Historical Society. And then two very special people who probably deserve standing O's, both of them. Jessica Joannis and Melissa Anderson. This is Melissa Anderson's vision, this place. And no one works harder and is more thoughtful than her. So Melissa, wherever you are, somewhere in the back there, right there, you are a superstar. This is your vision. Thank you. Before we get to the show, we moved down here because we think, I think the college believes, it's part of our mission to help revitalize downtown Ripon. And you can see the kinds of things we're doing, 314 Watson, this space, murals, pocket parks. We are trying to help downtown revitalize. There are other good things that are in the works, we hope, that will help downtown be better. We are looking forward to a formal opening in March where we're going to have new merchandise, and you'll be able to buy your books here. using an electronic kiosk, which is also very cool. And I'd like to encourage everybody to make full use of the free coffee and cookies tonight, and of course, to enjoy this phenomenal show that our faculty and our staff and our students have put on. And I guess I can say this, Allison? Right?
Actually, we have a few housekeeping notes right before
Well,
the end.
can I? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna end it by saying vaginas are dope, because that's what you said. I just thought, I needed to say that.
Can you say that one more time
No,
for the people in the back?
No, right. No, but please.
Just a couple things. Number one, we ask that you keep your phones on silent. However, feel free to have them out. Take pictures. Take snaps of your professor screaming pussy. We love that. Also, just know.
I didn't say that. Just to be clear there for all of you.
Also, a couple other things. Number one, this show is intended for mature audiences only. If you have children, please be warned. Number three, I suppose, some of the material in this production may be triggering. Just so you know, if you need to step out to take a moment before you come back in, please feel free to do so. I think that's it.
Okay.
Without further ado, in collaboration with Ripon College Feminists, Ripon Theater, and in support of the awesome organization V-Day that helped put this on, I give you the Vagina Monologues.
I bet you're worried.
We were worried.
We were worried about vaginas.
We were worried what we think about vaginas, and even more worried that we don't think about them. We were worried about our own vaginas. They needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. There's so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them, like the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody ever reports back from there.
In the first place, it's not even easy to find your vagina. Women go for weeks, months, sometimes years without looking at it. A high-powered businesswoman was interviewed and she said she was too busy. She didn't have time. Looking at your vagina, she said, is a full day's work. You have to get down on your back in front of a mirror that's standing on its own, full length preferred. You've got to get in the perfect position with the perfect light, and then there's the shadows somehow by the mirror that is at the angle that you're at. You get all twisted up. You're arching your head and killing your back. You're exhausted by then. She said she didn't have time for that. She was busy.
So there were vagina interviews, which then turned into Vagina Monologues. Over 200 women were interviewed. Older women, young women, married women, lesbians, single women, college professors, actors, corporate professionals, sex workers, Black women, Asian American women, Latino women, Native American women, Caucasian women, Jewish women. Okay. At first, the women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy, but once they got going, you couldn't stop them. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. They get very excited, mainly because no one's ever asked them before.
Let's just start with the word vagina. It sounds like an infection at best. Maybe a medical instrument. Hurry, nurse, bring me the vagina. Vagina, vagina. Doesn't matter how many times you say it. It never sounds like a word you want to say. It's a totally ridiculous, completely unsexy word. If you use it during sex, trying to be politically correct. Darling, could you stroke my vagina? You kill the act right there.
We were worried about vaginas, what we call them and don't call them.
In Great Neck, New York, they call it pussycat. A woman there said that her mother used to tell her, don't wear panties underneath your pajamas, dear. You need to air out your pussycat.
In Westchester, they called a pookie.
In New Jersey, a twat.
There's powder box, a poochie, a poopy, a peepee, a poopaloo, a poonanny, a pal, and a peesh.
Cody, Dee, Nishi, Dignity, Monkey Box.
Coochie snorcher, cooter, lady.
Gladys Siegelman.
VA, wee wee, horse to spot, nappy dugout.
Mongo Mookie, a pajama. Fanny Boo, mushmallow.
A ghoulie, possible, tamale, Totita, Connie,
A Mimi in Miami.
A split knish in Philadelphia.
and a schmend in the Bronx.
We're worried about vaginas.
Some of the monologues are based on one woman's story. Some of the monologues are based on several women's stories surrounding the same theme. And a few times, a good idea became an outrageous one. This monologue is based on one woman's story, although the subject came up in every interview and was often fraught. The subject being hair.
You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Many people don't love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He made me shave my vagina. He said it was cluttered and dirty, but when I shaved it, it looked puffy and exposed, like a little girl. And this excited him. When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must feel. It felt good to rub it and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. It felt like it was on fire. There were screaming red bumps. So I refused to shave it again. And then my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy, he told me that he screwed around because I wouldn't please him sexually, because I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a German accent and gasped to show her empathy. She asked me why I didn't want to please my husband. I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little when my hair down there was gone. I couldn't help talking in a baby voice, and the skin got irritated, and even calamine lotion wouldn't help. She told me that marriage was a compromise. I asked her if shaving my vagina would help him from screwing around. I asked her if she'd had cases like this before. And she told me that questions diluted the process. I just had to jump in. She was sure this was a good beginning. So, this time when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a little therapy bonus prize. He clipped it a few times, and there was a little blood in the bathtub, and he didn't notice, because he was so happy shaving me. And then later, when he was pressing against me, I could feel his spiky sharpness sticking into me, my naked, puffy vagina, and there was no protection. There was no fluff. And I realized then that hair is there for a reason. It's the leaf around the flower, the lawn around the house. And you have to love hair in order to love a vagina, because you can't pick the parts that you want. And besides, my husband never stopped screwing around.
All of the women were asked the following questions.
If your vagina got dressed, what would it wear?
Glasses, a beret, a leather jacket, silk stockings, mink, a pink boa.
A male tuxedo, jeans, something form-fitting,
Emeralds, an evening gown, sequins,
Armani only,
a tutu, see-through black underwear, a taffeta ball gown,
Something machine washable.
a costume eye mask, purple velvet pajamas, Angora, a red bow,
ermine and pearls, a leopard hat, a silk kimono, sweatpants, a tattoo.
An electrical shock device to keep unwanted strangers away.
High heels, lace, and combat boots. Purple feathers, twigs, and shells. Cotton.
A pinafore.
A bikini.
A slicker.
If your vagina could talk, what would it say? 2 words.
Slow down.
Is that you?
Feed me. I want. Yum, yum. Oh, yeah.
Start again. No, over there. Lick me. Stay home. Brave choice.
Think again. More, please. Embrace me. Let's play.
Don't stop. More, more. Remember me?
Come inside. Not yet. Whoa, mama. Yes, yes. Rock me.
Enter at your own risk.
Oh, God. Thank God. I'm here. Let's go. Let's go. Find me.
Thank you. Bonjour. Ooh, too hard. Don't give up.
Where's Brian? That's better. Yes, there. There.
A group of women between the ages of 65 and 75 was interviewed. These interviews were the most poignant, possibly because many of these women had never had a vagina interview before. One woman who was 72 had never even seen her vagina. She washed herself in the shower and bath, but never with conscious intention. She had never had an orgasm. At 72, she went into therapy, as they do in New York. And with the help of her therapist, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and she got down with herself. She said it took over an hour because she was arthritic. But when she finally found her clitoris, she said, she cried. This monologue is for her, the flood.
Down there? I haven't been down there since 1953. No, it had nothing to do with Eisenhower. No, it's a cellar down there. It's very damp, clammy. You don't want to go down there, trust me. You'd get sick, suffocating, very nauseating. The smell of clamminess and the mildew and everything, whew, smells unbearable. Gets in your clothes and everything. You know, there was no accident down there. It didn't blow up or catch fire or anything like that. It wasn't so dramatic. I mean, well, never mind. No, never mind. I can't talk to you about this. What's a smart girl like you going around talking to old ladies about their down there's for? We didn't do this kind of thing when I was a girl. What? Jesus, okay. There was this boy, Andy Lefkoff. He was cute, well, I thought so. And tall, like me. And I really liked him. He asked me out for a date in his car. I can't tell you this, I can't do this. Talk about down there. You just know it's there, like the cellar. There's rumblings down there sometimes. You can hear pipes and things get caught there, like animals and things. And it gets wet. And sometimes people have to plug up the leaks. Otherwise, the door stays closed. You forget about it. I mean, it's part of the house, but you don't see it or think about it. I mean, it's part of the house. It has to be there though, because every house needs a cellar. Otherwise, the bedroom would be in the basement. Oh, Andy Lefkoff, right. Andy was very good looking. He was a catch. That's what we called it in my day. We were in his car, a new white Chevy Bel Air. I remember thinking that my legs were too long for the seat. I have long legs. They were smushed up against the dashboard. I was looking at my big kneecaps when he just kissed me in this surprisingly take me by control like they do in the movies kind of way. And I got excited. So excited, and well, there was a flood down there. I couldn't control it. It was like this force of passion. This river of life just flooded out of me. Right through my panties, right onto the car seat of his new white Chevy Bel Air. It wasn't pee, and it was smelly. Well, frankly, I didn't really smell anything at all. But Andy said that it smelled like sour milk, and it was staining his car seat. I was a stinking weird girl, he said. I wanted to explain that his kiss had caught me off guard, and I wasn't normally like this. I tried to wipe the flood up with my dress. It was a new yellow primrose dress, and it looked so ugly with the flood on it. Andy drove me home without saying another word, and when I got out and closed his car door, I closed the whole store. Locked it, never opened for business again. I dated some after that, but the idea of flooding made me too nervous. I never even got close again. I used to have dreams, crazy dreams. Oh, they're dopey. Why? Burt Reynolds. I don't know why. He never did much for me in life, but in my dreams, it was always Burt and I. Burt and I, Burt and I. It was always the same general dream. We'd be out, Burt and I. It was some restaurant like the kind you see in Atlantic City with big chandeliers and stuff and thousands of waiters with vests. Burt would give me this orchid corsage. I'd pin it on my blazer. We'd laugh. We were always laughing, Burt and I. Laughing, laughing. We'd eat shrimp cocktail, huge shrimp, fabulous shrimp. We'd laugh more. We were very happy together. Then he'd look into my eyes and pull me to him in the middle of the restaurant. And just as he was about to kiss me, the whole restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would fly out from under the table. I don't know what those pigeons were doing there. And the flood would come straight from down there. It would pour out of me. It would pour and pour. There would be fish inside it and little boats, and the whole restaurant filled with my flood, and Burt would be standing waist deep, looking horribly disappointed in me that I'd done it again. Horrified as he watched his friends, Dean Martin and the like, swim past us in their tuxedos and evening gowns. I don't have those dreams anymore. Not since they took away just about everything connected with down there. Moved out the uterus, the tubes, the whole works. The doctor thought he was being funny. He told me that if you don't use it, you lose it. But really, I found out it was cancer. Everything around it had to go. Who needs it anyway? Highly overrated. I've done other things. I love the dog shows. I sell antiques. You ask me, what would it wear? What kind of question is that? What would it wear? It would wear a big sign, closed due to flooding. What would it say? I told you, it's not like that. It's not like a person who speaks. It stopped being a thing that talked a long time ago. It's a place you don't go. It's closed up under the house. It's down there. You happy? You'd made me talk. You got it out of me. You got an old lady to talk about her down there. You feel better now? You know, actually, you're the first person I ever told about this. I feel a little better.
The Vagina Workshop. My vagina is a shell, a round pink tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip, the center acute and deep, the scent delicate, the petals gentle but sturdy.
I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina Workshop. I learned this from a woman who runs the Vagina Workshop, a woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who helps other women to see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas.
In the first session, the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth screaming with coins spilling out. Another very skinny woman drew a big serving plate with a kind of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a huge black dot with little squiggly lines around it. The black dot was equal to a black hole in space, and the squiggly lines were meant to be people or things or just your basic atoms that got stuck in there. I'd always thought of my vagina as an anatomical vacuum, randomly sucking up particles and objects from the surrounding environment. I did not think of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me.
In the workshop, we were asked to look at our vaginas with hand mirrors. Then, after careful examination, we were to verbally report to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was hearsay or invention. I had never actually seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward looking at it like we were in the workshop on our shiny blue mats with our hand mirrors. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes.
I found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open and you discover this other bloody, complex world inside, right under the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me most was all the layers. Layers inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who ran the workshop called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay there on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever.
It was better than the Grand Canyon. Ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny. Very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close. Then, the woman who ran the workshop asked how many women in the workshop had had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I had had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. They happened a lot in water, mostly in the bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes on the treadmill at the gym. And I didn't raise my hand because although I had had orgasms, I didn't know how to make one happen. I thought it was a mystical, magical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong getting involved, contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The surprise would be gone, and the mystery. The problem, of course, was that the surprise had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had a magical accidental orgasm in a long time, and I was frantic. That's why I was in the vagina workshop.
And then the moment arrived that I both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, the group of us women, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason, and I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was the sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing that I had to give up the fantasy, the enormous life-consuming fantasy that someone or something was going to do this for me. The fantasy that someone was coming to lead my life, to give me direction, to give me orgasms. And I could feel the panic coming. The simultaneous terror and realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris, had rationalized it as mainstream and consumerist, because I was in fact terrified that I did not have a clitoris. Terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, apricot tasting, bitter. Oh my God.
I lay there with my mirror, looking for my spot, reaching with my fingers, and all I could think about was the time when I was 10 and had lost my gold ring with the emeralds in a lake. How I just kept diving over and over to the bottom of the lake, running my hands over the stones and the fish and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I'd be punished.
The woman who ran the workshop saw my insane scrambling, sweating, and heavy breathing. She came over and I told her, it's gone. It's gone. I've lost my clitoris. I shouldn't have awarded swimming. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She stroked my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. It was me, she said, the essence of me. It was both the doorbell to my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it.
Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back and closed my eyes. I put the mirror down. I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as I slowly began to approach myself and re-enter.
I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was very quiet, this re-entry, quiet and gentle. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and then I slid into my vagina. It was suddenly easy, and I fit.
I was all warm and pulsing and ready and young and alive, and then, without looking, with my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what had suddenly become me.
There was a little quivering at first, which urged me to stay.
And then the quivering became a quake, an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing.
The quaking broke open into an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened onto a plane of music and colors and connection. A calling connection as I lay there thrashing about on my little blue mat.
My vagina is a shell, a tulip, and a destiny. I am arriving as I am beginning to leave. My vagina, me.
Here is a vagina happy fact. This is from Women, an Intimate Geography by Natalie Auger. The clitoris is pure in purpose. It is the only organ in the body designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves, 8,000 nerve fibers to be precise. That's a higher concentration of nerve fibers than is found anywhere else in the male or female body, including the fingertips, lips, and tongue. And it is twice the number in the penis. Who needs a hand grenade when you have a semi-automatic?
As part of Eve's work to include the voices of women who face violence, in 2005 she interviewed a diverse group of transgender women in preparing for creating this piece. Punishing the feminine was one overarching theme of the interviews. Some transgender women face violence from a very early age because they are so feminine or because they show inappropriate interest in things considered feminine. For others, the violence comes later because they are not feminine enough. Those who do not pass as members of society or of the binary gender constructs often get pushed to the fringes of society. This monologue moves from childhood through adversity and into maturity, wisdom, and joy of affirming who they are. Women. They beat the girl out of my boy, or so they try.
At 5 years old, I was putting my baby sister's diapers on. I saw her vagina. I wanted one. I wanted one. I thought it would grow.
I thought I would open. I ached to belong. I ached to smell like my mother. A sweet aroma lived in my hair, on my hands, in my skin. I ached to be pretty, pretty.
I wondered why I was missing my bathing suit top at the beach. Why I wasn't dressed like the other girls. I ached to be completed. I ached to belong. To twirl the baton.
They assigned me a sex the day I was born. It's as random as being adopted or being assigned a hotel room on the 30th floor. It has nothing to do with who you are or your fear of heights, but in spite of the apparatus I was forced to carry around, I always knew I was a girl.
They beat me for it. They beat me for crying. They pummeled me for wanting.
To touch.
To pet.
To hug.
To help.
To hold their hands.
For trying to fly in church like Sister Betrayal.
For doing cartwheels.
Crocheting socks.
For carrying purses to kindergarten.
They kicked the shit out of me every day on my way to school.
In the park, they smashed my magic marker painted nails.
They punched my lipsticked mouth.
They
beat the girl out of my boy.
Or they tried.
So I went underground. I stopped playing the flute.
Be a man. Stand up for yourself. Go punch him back.
I grew a full beard.
It was good. I was big.
I joined the Marines. Suck it up and drive on.
I became duller.
Jaded.
Sometimes cruel.
Butch it.
Butch it. Butch it up.
Always clenched, inaccurate, incomplete.
I ran away from home.
From school.
From boot camp.
Ran to Miami.
Greenwich Village.
Aleutian Islands.
New Orleans.
I found gay people.
Wilderness lesbians.
I got my first hormone shot. Got permission to be myself.
To transition, to travel, to immigrate. 350 hours of hot needles. I would count the male particles as they died. 16 man hairs gone.
The feminine is in your face. I lift my eyebrows more. I'm curious. I ask questions.
In my voice, practice, practice. It's all about resonance. Sing song, sing song. Men are monotone and flat. Southern accents are really excellent. Jewish accents really help. Hello, my friend.
And my vagina is so much friendlier. I cherish it. It brings me joy.
The orgasms come in waves before they were jerky.
I'm your girl next door.
My lieutenant colonel father ended up paying for it. My vagina.
My mother was worried what people would think of her, that she made this happen. Until I came to church and everyone said, "You have a beautiful daughter."
I got to be soft. I'm allowed to listen. I'm allowed to touch. I'm able to receive.
To be in the present tense.
People are so much nicer to me now.
I can wake up in the morning, put my hair in a ponytail.
A wrong was righted.
I am right with God.
It's like when you're trying to sleep and there is a loud car alarm. When I got my vagina, it was like someone finally turned it off.
I live now in the female zone, but you know how people feel about immigrants. They don't like it when you come from someplace else. They don't like it when you mix. They killed my boyfriend. They beat him insanely as he slept with a baseball bat. They beat this girl out of his head. They didn't want him dating a foreigner, even though she was pretty. And she listened and was kind. They didn't want him falling in love with ambiguity. They were scared he'd get lost. They were that terrified of love.
This monologue was based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man. Because he liked to look at it.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know it should have happened in a bath with some salt grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite! I know all of it. Like, if we had grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on, I wished that I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend that there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture, cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet settees, leopard rugs, or pretty things like silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or place settings. I got so accustomed to this that I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I've ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript and wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent time in the shade. He did not share his inner feelings. He did not have any problems or issues and was not even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that I dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me back my quarters and pennies and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out, Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the way they smelled, but most of all, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me that he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said. I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light. Then he said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to see you. Right here, I waved. I'm right here. Then he began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said, I need to see you, he replied. No need, I said, just do it. I need to see what you look like, he said. But you've seen a red leather couch before, Bob. I said. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said. It's who you are. I need to look. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. "You're so beautiful," he said. "You're elegant and deep and innocent and wild." "You saw that there?" I said. It was like he read my palm. "I saw that," he said, "and more, much, much more." He stayed looking for almost an hour, as if he was studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes. But it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way Bob saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell, began to feel proud, began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there. And I was there with him, in my vagina, and we were gone.
Not so happy fact. This is not so happy fact found in UNICEF's 2013 report, Female Genital Mutilation and Cutting, a statistical overview and exploration of the dynamics of change. Female genital mutilation has been inflicted on approximately 200 million girls and young women. In the 30 countries where it is practiced, mostly in Africa, about 30 million young girls within the next decade are at risk of the knife, or the razor, or a glass shard, to cut their clitoris or remove it altogether. In half of the countries, the majority of girls were cut before age 5. In the rest of the countries, most cutting occurs between 5 and 14 years of age. As many as 30 million girls are at risk of being cut over the next decade if current trends persist. In a man, it would range from amputation of most of the penis to removal of all of the penis. Short-term results include tetanus, hemorrhages, cuts in the urethra, bladder, and vaginal walls. Long-term chronic uterine infection, increased agony and danger during childbirth, and early deaths. However, overall, it is on the decline, with the percentage of girls ages 15 to 19 who have been cut declining from 51% in 1985 to 37% today.
My vagina's angry. It is. It's pissed off. My vagina is furious and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all this shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people out there thinking up ways to torture my poor ass, gentle, loving vagina, spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy? Vagina motherfuckers. All this shit. They're constantly trying to shove up us, clean us up, stuff us up, make it go away. Well, my vagina's not going away. It's pissed off and it's staying right here. Like tampons. What the hell is that? A wad of dry fucking cotton stuffed up there. Why can't they find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? As soon as my vagina sees it, it goes into shock. It says, forget it. It closes up. You need to work with the vagina. Introduce it to things. Prepare the way. That's what foreplay's all about. You gotta convince my vagina. Seduce my vagina. Engage my vagina's trust. And you can't do that with a dry wad of fucking cotton. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and stop cleaning it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't try to decorate. Don't believe them when he tells you that it smells like rose petals when it's supposed to smell like pussy. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to clean it up, make it smell like bathroom spray or a garden. All those douche sprays, floral, berry, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain. All cleaned up, like washing a fish after you cooked it. I want to taste the fish. That's why I ordered it. This guy knows what I'm talking about. Then there's those exams, okay? Who thought them up? There's got to be a better way to do those exams. Why the scary paper dress that scratches your tits and crunches when you lie down so you feel like a wad of paper that someone threw away? Why the rubber gloves? Why the flashlight all up there like Nancy Drew working against gravity? Why the Nazi steel stirrups and the mean cold duck lips that they shove inside you? What is that? My vagina is angry about those visits. It gets defended weeks in advance. It won't go out of the house. Then you get there. Don't you hate that? Scoot down. Relax your vagina. Why? So you can shove those mean cold duck lips up me? I don't think so. Why can't they find some nice, delicious purple velvet and wrap it around me, lay me down on some nice feathery cotton spread, put on some friendly pink or blue gloves, and rest my feet in some fur-covered stirrups? Warm up the duck lips. Work with my vagina. But no, more tortures. Dry wad of fucking cotton, cold duck lips, and thong underwear. That's the worst. Thong underwear. Who thought that up? Moves around all the time, gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. Vaginas are supposed to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why girdles are so bad. We need to move and spread and talk and talk. Vaginas need comfort. Make something like that. Something to give them pleasure. But, of course, they won't do that. Hate to see a woman having pleasure, particularly sexual pleasure. I mean, make a nice pair of cotton underwear with a French tickler built in. Women would be coming all day long. Coming in the supermarket, coming on the subway, coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it. Seeing all those energized, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If my vagina could talk, it would talk about itself like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions, see? It would wear Harry Winston diamonds. No clothing, just there all draped in diamonds. My vagina helped release a giant baby. It thought it would be doing more of that. It's not. Now it wants to travel. It doesn't want a lot of company. It wants to read and know things and get out more. It wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for depth. It wants kisses. It wants change. It wants silence and freedom and warm liquids and deep touch. It wants chocolate. It wants to scream. It wants to stop being angry. It wants to come. It wants to want. It wants. My vagina. My vagina, well, it wants everything.
Bosnian women refugees were interviewed during the war in Yugoslavia and refugee camps and centers. Between 1992 and 1995, 50 to 60,000 women were raped in the middle of Europe as a systematic tactic of war. Around the world, we see the atrocities, violence repeated in violent conflict. At the height of the war over minerals in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 1,152 women were raped every day. That is 48 per hour. totaling over 420,000 women in 1 year, many of whom were raped multiple times. In Colombia, nearly 500,000 women were raped between 2001 to 2009. In a 9-month period, over 200,000 women were raped in Bangladesh in the 1970s, and numbers are yet to be determined for the women who are currently suffering through the systematic sexual violence in Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and South Sudan. It is shocking to see how little people do to stop it or even acknowledge it. But then again, in the United States, each year about 200,000 women are raped, which is another kind of war. This monologue is based on one woman's story. We do it tonight for the women and the extraordinary women of Bosnia and Kosovo. My vagina was my village.
My vagina was green, water-soft pink fields, cow mooing, sun resting sweet, boyfriend touching lightly with soft piece of blonde straw.
There's something between my legs. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is. I do not touch, not now, not anymore, not since.
My vagina was chatty. Can't wait so much saying words, talking, can't quit trying, can't quit saying, oh yes, oh yes.
Not since I dreamed there's a dead animal sewn down there with thick, black fishing line. And the bad dead animal smell cannot be removed, and its throat is slit and bleeds through my summer dresses.
My vagina singing all girls songs, all goat bell ringing songs, all wild autumn field songs, vagina home songs.
Not since the soldiers put a long, thick rifle inside me. So cold, the steel rod canceling my heart. I don't know whether they're going to fire it or shove it through my spinning brain. 6 of them, monstrous doctors with black masks, shoving bottles up me too. There were sticks and the end of a broom.
My vagina swimming river water, clean spilling water over sun-baked stones, over stone clit stones, over and over.
Not since I heard the skin tear and made lemon screeching sounds, not since a piece of my vagina came off in my hand. A part of the lip. Now one side of the lip is completely gone.
My vagina, a live, wet water village. My vagina, my hometown.
Not since they took turns for 7 days, smelling like feces and smoked meat. They left their dry sperm inside me. I became a river of poison and pus, and all the crops died, and the fish.
My vagina, a live, wet water village. They invaded it, butchered it, and burned it down. I do not touch now, do not visit. I live someplace else now. I do not know where that is.
My short skirt. My short skirt is not an invitation, a provocation, an indication that I want it, or that I give it, or that I hook. My short skirt is not begging for it. It does not want you to rip it off or pull it off of me. My short skirt is not a legal reason for raping me, although it has been before. It will not hold up in the new court. My short skirt, believe it or not, has nothing to do with you. My short skirt is about discovering the power of my lower calves, about cool autumn air traveling up my inner thighs, about allowing everything I see or pass or feel to live inside. My short skirt is not proof that I am stupid or undecided or a malleable little girl. My short skirt is my defiance. I will not let you make me afraid. My short skirt is not showing off. This is who I am before you made me tone it down or cover it up. Get used to it. My short skirt is happiness. I can feel myself here on the ground. I am here. I am hot. My short skirt is a liberation flag in a women's army. I declare these streets, any streets, my vagina's country. My short skirt is turquoise water with swimming colored fish, a summer festival with starry night sky, a bird calling, a train arriving in a foreign town. My short skirt is a wild spin, a a full breath, a tango dip. My short skirt is initiation, appreciation, excitation, but mainly my short skirt and everything underneath it is mine. Mine. Mine.
In hundreds of interviews with homeless women over the course of 13 years, only one woman was not sexually abused as a little girl or raped as a young woman. For most of these women, home is a very scary place, a place they have fled. The shelters are ironically the first places many of them ever find safety, protection, or comfort. This is a woman's story as she told it. What isn't in the story is the fact that this woman met another woman in a shelter, and they fell in love. And through their love, they both got out of the shelter system. The little coochie snorcher that could.
Memory. December 1965, 5 years old. My mama tells me in a scary, loud, life-threatening voice to stop scratching my coochie snorcher. I become terrified that I've scratched it off, and it's not there. I don't touch myself again, even in the bath. I am afraid of the water getting in and filling me up so that I explode. I put Band-Aids over my coochie to cover the hole, but they fall off in the water. I imagine a stopper, a bathtub plug up there to prevent things from entering me. I sleep with 3 pairs of happy heart pattern cotton underpants underneath my snap-up pajamas. I still want to touch myself sometimes, but I don't.
Memory, 7 years old. Edgar Montaigne, who is 10, gets angry at me and punches me with all his might between my legs. It feels like he breaks my entire self. I limp home. I can't pee. My mama asks me what's wrong with my coochie snorcher. And when I tell her what Edgar did to me, she yells at me and says never to let anyone touch me down there again. I tried to explain that he didn't touch it, Mama. He punched it.
Memory, 9 years old. I play on the bed, bouncing and falling, and impale my coochie snorcher on the bedpost. I make high-pitched screaming noises that come straight from my coochie snorcher's mouth. I get taken to the hospital and they sew it up down there from where it's been torn apart.
Memory. 10 years old. I'm at my father's house, and he's having a party upstairs. Everyone's drinking. I'm playing alone in the basement, and I'm trying on my new cotton white bra and panties that my father's girlfriend gave me. Suddenly, my father's best friend, this big man, Alfred, comes up from behind and pulls my new underpants down and sticks his big, hard penis into my coochie snorcher. I scream, I kick, I try to fight him off, but he already gets it in. My father's there, and then he has a gun. And there's a loud, horrible noise, and then there's blood all over Alfred and me. Lots of blood. I'm sure my coochie snorcher is finally falling out. Alfred is paralyzed for life, and my mama doesn't let me see my father for 7 years.
Memory, 13 years old. My coochie snorcher is a very bad place. A place of pain, nastiness, punching, invasion, and blood. It's a site for mishaps. It's a bad luck zone. I imagine a freeway between my legs and I'm traveling, going far away from here.
Memory, 16 years old. There's this gorgeous 24-year-old woman in our neighborhood, and I stare at her all the time. One day she invites me into her car. She asks me if I like to kiss boys, and I tell her I do not like that. Then she says she wants to show me something, and she leans over and kisses me so softly on the lips with her lips, and then puts her tongue in my mouth. Wow.
She asks me if I want to come over to her house. And then she kisses me again and tells me to relax, to feel it, to let her tongues feel it. She asks my mama if I can spend the night, and my mother's delighted that such a beautiful, successful woman has taken an interest in me. I'm scared and I can't wait.
Her apartment's fantastic. She's got it hooked up. It's the 70s, the beads, the fluffy pillows, the mood lights. I decide right there that I want to be a secretary just like her when I grow up. She makes the vodka for herself, and then she asks me what I want to drink. I say the same as she's drinking, and she says she doesn't think my mama would like me drinking vodka. I say she probably wouldn't like me kissing girls either. And the pretty lady makes me a drink.
Then she changes into this chocolate satin teddy. She's so beautiful. I always thought bull daggers were ugly. I say, "You look great," and she says, "So do you." I say, "But I only have this white cotton bra and underpants." Then she dresses me slowly in another satin teddy. It's lavender like the first soft days of spring. The alcohol has gone to my head and I am loose and ready.
There's a picture over her bed of a naked black woman with a huge afro. She gently and slowly lays me out on the bed, and just our bodies rubbing makes me come. Then she does everything to me and my coochie snorcher that I always thought was nasty before, and wow, I am so hot, so wild. She says, "Your vagina, untouched by man, smells so nice, so fresh. I wish I could keep it that way forever."
I get kind of crazy wild, and then the phone rings, and of course it's my mama. I'm sure she knows. She catches me at everything. I'm breathing so heavy, and I try to act normal when I get on the phone, and she asks me, "What's wrong with you? You've been running?" I say, "No, Mama, exercising." Then she tells the beautiful secretary to make sure I'm not around boys, and the lady tells her, "Trust me, there's no boys around here."
Afterwards, this gorgeous lady teaches me everything about my coochie snorcher. She makes me play with myself in front of her and teaches me all the different ways to give myself pleasure. She's very thorough. She tells me to always know how to give myself pleasure, so I'll never need to rely on a man.
In the morning, I'm worried that I've become a butch because I am so in love with her. She laughs, but I never see her again. I realize later that she was my surprising, unexpected, and politically incorrect salvation. She transformed my sorry-ass coochie snorcher and raised it into a kind of heaven.
They are wild for vaginas in Pittsburgh. In fact, a woman from Pittsburgh was obsessed about a particular kind of pejorative word used to describe the vagina. Her mission was to reconceive the word. I call it cunt. I've reclaimed cunt. I really like it. Cunt. Listen to it. Cunt. See, ca, cavern, cackle, clit, cute, come closed, see closed, inside, ca, then you, then coo, then curvy, inviting, shark skin, you, uniform, under, up, urge, you, then N, then cun. Snug letters fitting perfectly together. N, nest, now, nexus, nice, always depth, always round and uppercase. Cun, N, a jagged, wicked, electrical pulse. Then soft N, warm N, cun, then T, then sharp, certain, tangy T. Texture, take, tent, tight, tantalizing, tensing, taste, tendrils, time, tactile. Tell me, cunt, say it, tell me, cunt, you get it.
asked, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? Red high tops and a Mets cap worn backwards. If it could speak, what would it say? It would say only words that began with V and T. Turtle and violin are examples. What does your vagina remind you of? A pretty dark peach or a diamond I found from a treasure and it's mine. What's special about your vagina? Somewhere deep, deep inside, it really, really has a smart brain. What does it smell like? Snowflakes.
Sex workers have a rich, compelling, complex relationship with their vaginas. This particular woman blows my mind. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women.
I love vaginas. I love women. I do not see them as separate things. Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I did not start out like this. No, to the contrary. I started out as a lawyer, but in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts. Then I got involved in it. I got very good at it. Kind of brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I had found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women, lace and silk and leather. Oh, and I used props, whips, handcuffs, rope, dildos. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement, and I hated those blue corporate suits. Although I wear them now from time to time in my new line of work, and they serve quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law. No wetness, no dark, mysterious foreplay, no erect nipples, no delicious mouths, but mainly, there was no moaning. Not the kind I'm talking about anyway. This was key, I see now. Moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl and I would see women in the movies making love, making strange orgasmic moaning sounds, I used to laugh. I got strangely hysterical. I couldn't believe that big, outrageous, ungoverned sound like that came from a woman. I longed to moan. I practiced in front of a mirror on a tape recorder, moaning in various keys, various tones. But always when I played it back, it sounded fake. It was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, only in my desire to be sexual. But then when I was 10, I had to pee really bad once on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting, I moaned. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it. Me moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized right then that moans are connected with not getting what you want right away, but with putting things off. I realized moans were best when they caught you by surprise. They came out of this hidden, mysterious part of you that was speaking in its own language. I realized that moans were, in fact, that language. I became a moaner. I made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud, and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus. Then they'd lose everything. We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building, and people stared at me with contempt in the elevator. Men thought I was too intense. Some called me insane. I began to feel bad about moaning. I got quiet and polite. I made noise into pillows. I learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a sneeze. I began to get headaches and stress-related disorders. I was becoming hopeless. Then I discovered women. I discovered that most women loved my moaning. But more importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned. When I was responsible for other women moaning. I made love to quiet women, and I found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan. of surgery, a kind of delicate science, finding the tempo, the exact location or home of the moan. That's what I called it. Sometimes I found it over women's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up on it, off the record quietly, disarming the surrounding alarms and moving in. Sometimes I used force, but not violent, oppressing force, more like dominating, I'm gonna take you someplace, don't worry, lay back and enjoy the ride kind of force. Sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moan before things even started, while we were eating salad or chicken, just casual, right there with my fingers. Here it is, like that. Real simple, in the kitchen, all mixed in with the balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I used props. I loved props. Sometimes I made the woman find her moan in front of me. I waited, stuck it out until she opened herself. I was not fooled by the minor, more obvious moans. No, I pushed her further, all the way into her power moan. There's the clit moan. The vaginal moan. The combo clit vaginal moan. There's the almost moan. The right on it moan. The elegant moan. The rock star moan. The Jewish moan.
Oh, no.
The black moan.
Oh, shit!
The Irish Catholic moan.
Oh, forgive me.
The mountaintop moan.
Yodelay.
The baby moan. The doggy moan. The uninhibited militant bisexual moan. The machine gun moan. The diva moan.
Oh.
The college moan.
Oh, I should be studying.
And finally, the surprise triple orgasm moan.
Huh?
So the final piece of the evening was performed for some time without any mention of birth. This was a bizarre omission, but then again, a male journalist recently asked, what's the connection? Our author, Eve Ensler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before the moment. Now she's in deep worship. I was there in the room.
I was there when her vagina opened. We were all there, her mother, her husband, and I, and the nurse from the Ukraine with her whole hand up there and her vagina feeling and turning with her rubber glove as she just casually talked to us like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there in the room when the contractions made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans leak out of her pores, and still there after hours when she just screamed, suddenly wild, her arms striking at the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny stuck child inside, waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina. They changed. Saw the bruised, broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the gray pink, the dark. Saw the blood like perspiration along the edges. Saw the yellow, white liquid, the shit, the clots, pushing out all the holes, pushing harder and harder. I saw through the hole, the baby's head, just scratches of black hair. Saw it just there behind the bone, a hard, round memory, as the nurse from the Ukraine kept turning and turning her slippery hand. I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pushing with all of our strength against her pushing, and her husband sternly counting 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked into her then. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina, all of us. What else would explain our lack of awe, our lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland spoons. And there, as the vagina became a wide operatic mouth, singing with all of her strength. First, the little head, then the gray flopping arm, then the fast swimming body, swimming quickly into her weeping arms. I was there later when I just turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen, and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's hands, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood there and watched as her vagina suddenly became a wide, red, pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice, so is the vagina. The heart is able to forgive and repair. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us, and bleed us into this difficult, wondrous world. I was there in the room. I remember.
Professors, we have a little thank you for doing this. When we first proposed the Vagina Monologues, we already had faculty emailing us right away saying we want to be a part of this, and we just want to show our thanks. Lauren had this amazing idea to get the posters free. So this is our gift from us to you. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Can we get another round of applause for the faculty?
Thank you everyone so much for coming. Thank you for spending your Valentine's Day with us. If there's any food in the back, drinks, beverage, whatever, mugs is for purchase. Feel free to use that. Otherwise, thank you for being a part of this project and have a good night.
Thank you.